Chris here, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to my vlog for Face Off Weekend. So I'm taking part in the amazing Readathon. This is my Face Off Weekend vlog. It is going to be 48 hours of chaos. It has already started because it's 2:42 p.m. and it started at noon. And I have no idea what I'm going to do. I think my plan is to read some of my shorter books. And if they fit a sightseeing prompt, take the points for that. And if they don't, then use them for the face-off, because from what I can tell, we're literally just winning somewhere between 100 and 500 GRC, which will help with travel. But I feel like, at least for me and the way my brain works, it will be easier if I focus on getting points for sightseeing and my overall team score than to take these books and spend them just to potentially only get 100 GRC. I don't know what else my team is doing. I think some of us are really focusing on sightseeing or catching up if we're not currently in Cape Town, and I think others are really focused on trying to get that extra GRC. I think as long as we're having fun, we're making the right decisions, so that's kind of my plan. The other thing I need to do is finish this chunker. I have 3 hours left, so hopefully I'll finish that today, because I'm about to lose the audiobook and I don't want to read this without the audiobook. So that is my current plan. We're going to see how it goes. I'm also doing some sprints right now, which is really nice. I quite enjoy sprinting. And it certainly seems to keep me focused. So fingers crossed it works this weekend. And I can get through just a ton of books. Anywho, that's the kickoff for this. I will try to check back in tonight and let you know what kind of craziness I got up to today, because I have a lot of manga, I have a lot of graphic novels, and I have a lot of middle grade I could attempt to get through. So we'll see how it goes, and I will check back in maybe around midnight to let you know how I did today. So it is around 3 on Saturday. I did not end up checking in last night. I just completely forgot with everything that I was doing last night and all of the reading I had done, so it just didn't happen. And this is the first chance I've had to sit down today and film, mainly because I started this morning by finishing Knife of Dreams, and I gave this 3.75 stars. This is book 11 in the Wheel of Time series. There was a story thread going on in this one that actually really interested me. So while we were in that, I was really engaged, but these books are definitely a struggle, given that there are certain POVs I just don't care for, and some that I do, and I just prefer to be in the ones that I do, and I get really bored and struggle to concentrate on the ones that I'm not invested in. So we'll see how it goes. I believe I have 3 or 4 books left in the series, so I'm almost done, and I wasn't supposed to read this yet, because I'm doing Wheel of Time along. So the next book, I believe, is September and October, so I don't have to read another Robert Jordan book, hopefully, till fall, which would be awesome. So, wanted to mention that I did finally finish this sucker. Then, I read Hooray for She, He, They, and They, and I gave this 4 stars. This is a picture book that just discusses pronouns and how they can make you feel. I think it is gorgeously illustrated. Just beautiful illustrations that really bring this to life. I think it's a little hard because they don't really explain what pronouns are. And I get that the concept might be hard for a kid to understand, especially when they go off of the basic three, she, he, and they, that seem to be the most popular. They don't really get into how those work and what some of those are, because like, you have, you know, she, her, they, them, and they don't really get into what that looks like if you're going off some of the more well-known ones, even though they do mention at least one, what would it be, tense, or, so like they'd mention he, but it would be like not mentioning him. So I thought that was, a thing I would have wanted more from, maybe a smidge, but I do think this is a good book to start the conversation and to kind of open that door. And it is important to have books like this, to, like I said, start that conversation, open the door, and make kids realize that there are a multitude of ways to have pronouns. And also because not everybody they encounter, child or adult, is necessarily going to have the same pronouns. So I thought this was a good start. I would have just maybe wanted a little bit more from it. And the art, though, gets 1,000,000 stars. It's just gorgeous, in my opinion. Then next, we'll talk about The Dark Times, which is the third book in the Lightfall series, and I gave this 4 stars. This is a fantasy graphic novel, and we're following Cad and B, and they've kind of been on this journey. A lot of things have happened to them since book 1. It took me a minute to kind of remember what had been going on. So I kind of wish I had reread the first 2. I think before book 4 comes out, because there's definitely going to be a book 4 based on the way this ended. I think I should reread the series to kind of refresh my memory, because it has been a bit since I read the first 2. I do really like this series. I think the art style is interesting. So the art style keeps me engaged as well. I think B and Cad do a really good job of expressing how you might be on a journey like this and how you might be feeling, which I think is important. And I like that they express it in 2 completely different ways. So really enjoyed this edition, but like I said, I might have enjoyed it more if I wasn't spending time going, wait, what was going on in the last one? Then I read Field Trip by Molly Brooks, and I gave this 4.5 stars. This follows Sanity and Tallulah, and they live on this space station. And in this one, they're going on a field trip down to a planet, and they've never been to a planet before, and they're super excited. And well, it doesn't really go according to plan, and they have to kind of deal with the chaos that ensues on this field trip that was supposed to just be a simple field trip to check out what a planet is like. I love this series. I think it's really funny. It's really fast paced. Again, I will say the art style in this one isn't my favorite, but I think it does a serviceable job depicting the story. It's not as pretty, I guess would be the word I would use, as some of the other art styles I've seen in graphic novels, but I thought it does a good job, and it's kind of minimal too, so I think maybe that works better because it's in space. But I really enjoy Sanity and Tallulah and their relationship. I like seeing how they navigated this challenge they found themselves in, and this is definitely a series I will continue. There's only 3 books, and I own the 3rd one, so hopefully I can continue that next month. Maybe I can sneak it onto my Phase Out Your TBR. Then I read Witch Hat Atelier, and I gave this 4 stars. This is a manga that follows a young girl named Coco who loves magic, loves everything about magic, but doesn't have magic. And she knows witches are born, not taught. And then one day a witch comes to town, and she ends up spying on this witch and learns, actually, magic can be taught. So some things happen that cause Coco to have to go with this witch and start to learn magic, and we see her start her journey. I thought this was a really good start to the series. There are some characters I don't like, but it's going to be, I think, intriguing to see how they develop throughout the future volumes. I think Coco needs to develop too, and we saw hints of that in this one already, of how she is going to adapt to this really big task that she has in front of her of using magic. There's some mysterious stuff going on as well, which I think is intriguing. So I thought this was a good start to the series, and I was definitely into it more at the end than I was at the beginning. So it had a bit of a slow start, but I think this is something I could really sink my teeth into. So definitely planning to continue this. And then the last book I finished is The Legend of Auntie Po, which also got 4 stars. So this takes place in 1885, yes, in a Sierra Nevada logging camp, and we're following a young girl named Mai who bakes and works in kind of the kitchen section of the camp with her dad. She is best friends with the foreman's daughter and has a bit of a crush on her. And she likes to tell the legend of Auntie Po. And there are some things that happen in the camp that create a bit of turmoil, including with her feelings for B. And Auntie Po and her blue water buffalo, Pai Pai, come to life and try to help Mai kind of navigate that. So I thought this was a really interesting look at life in a logging camp. I like that the author had an author's note at the end that mentions that there are omissions, including that there are no named Indigenous characters, and explains some of the story of Indigenous people in logging camps, and said that it's a complicated story and a story that needs nuance. And ultimately, I did not think it was my story to tell, but they were there. We were all there. This history, like all American history, is not a white story. So I thought it was really cool that she wanted to acknowledge that they had been there, but because it was so complicated and it's not her history, she didn't feel like she could tell it in an authentic way. And I thought that was really cool that she recognized that and was open about it, but also wanted to make sure that anybody reading the author's note knew that she didn't just not include them for no good reason. I really liked Mai and getting to learn about the politics of this camp. I liked hearing the legend of Auntie Po and learning more about Chinese culture and how that kind of played a part in this story. I also really liked seeing how, well, not liked seeing, but seeing the representation of how it was much rougher to be Chinese in the logging camps or just existing in 1885. And I thought that it was a good addition to the story that gave it a bit of drama that obviously is real. Like, it wasn't manufactured drama, but it definitely added to the story and made it feel deeper and more complex. I really, really enjoyed this, and I definitely would like to read more from this author in the future because I was really into this. And then I haven't finished it yet, but I have started Be Gay Do Comics. And fun fact, I read a comic by the author of The Legend of Auntie Po, which I thought was really, really cool. So this is a anthology of a bunch of different comics about queer history, and I've really enjoyed them. Some more than others, obviously, because some are going to speak to you more, and obviously the art styles are all different because you're getting so many different authors and illustrators, so the voice of each piece is different. But I've quite enjoyed this, and I'm really, really interested because I've learned some stuff about queer history that I didn't know, because that has been put in there. I learned there is literally one, let me see, I've mentioned this today, literally, in my house. It is called, oops, Gender Isn't Binary and Neither is Anatomy by Sarah Merck and Archie Bongiovanni. And it literally is about intersex people and what they go through and how that works and how many of them there are and some of the bills and struggles. And I thought that was really, really interesting, especially given some of the topics of conversation around trans people and gender today. So I didn't know some of that, so I thought that was interesting. So I definitely feel like I'm learning from this book, and it is just really, really cool to see so many queer voices represented in one book. So that is where I'm at. So far, all of the books have gotten me sightseeing points except for this one, because it wasn't long enough. So I thought that was really neat. I didn't really do the face-off thing because I thought it would be better spent with my time getting some sightseeing points since everybody else is focused on that. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to read tons. Like, this seems like tons, but I'm telling you, my team is killing it. They're reading like a dozen books in the time it's taken me to read that. So very proud of my team, even though I'm focusing more on sightseeing. And honestly, that might actually be the best strategy, is to have some people focused on sightseeing and some people focused on finding the items, because you're kind of maximizing your team and the ability to pull things in. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to continue to read, and we'll see what else I can get through between now and noon tomorrow. And I will check in tomorrow to let you know how I did and wrap this vlog up. Is Sunday and it's time to wrap up Face Off weekend. I didn't end up submitting anything for the Face Off, but that is all right because Team Fantasy won. We tied with Team Spooky, so we get the 500 GRC, which means I didn't really need to submit my books for that, so not bad. I did finish a few more books. I didn't read as much yesterday as I had wanted to. I had wrestling. I was completely wiped from my allergies, but I will run you through what I did read. So I finished Be Gay Do Comics. I'm giving this 4 stars. There are some I like more than others, which I think I said in the last clip. This also took a lot longer to read than I thought it was going to, but I thought it was really, really interesting, and I loved hearing from all of the different voices. It is definitely worth checking out and seeing all of the different comic strips and the different topics that are touched upon in all of the different art styles, because it is a really cool little collection. And we have an Ellie with her little naked paws. She is doing really, really well, in case anybody is wondering, and is loving being able to eat all of the wet. The other book I finished is Gender Rebels, 30 Trans, Non-Binary, and Gender Expansive Heroes, Past and Present. I gave this 5 stars. I thought this was really, really well done. I loved learning about all of these different individuals and their journeys, and seeing people from all walks of life, and feels like I'm ready for my close-up. Babes, there you go. Just stay. I really, really enjoy this, and I love that it starts with like the past. And sorry for the camera angle change. Cielo is rolling around on my desk and keeps getting in the way. I really like that they kind of start in the past and they move towards the present, and we see people from all different sorts of generations. She's clearing off my desk now, y'all. And we kind of get a look at that. What did you find that has made you so hyper? There is no catnip on my desk. You're weird. Anyways, I thought this was just really, really well done. It also has different bits and bobs in it where they talk about like how the singular they is used, trans rights around the world, mental health, and gender identity. So they have all of these little things before you get into the book. And then there are little sections that occasionally get tossed in, like that explain what drag queens are, for instance, that add to it when they come across something else. So I thought this was really, really well done. It is a brilliant book, and I love getting to see some of the history of trans, non-binary, and gender expansive heroes. So those were the only books I finished. I did make some progress in a couple of others. The first is 10 Dance Volume 1. This is following 2 guys who are dancers. And one is very good at the standard dances, and one is very good at the Latin dances. And the one that is good at the standard dances decides that he wants to learn how to do the Latin dances from the one that's good at the Latin dances. And because he wants to do that, he kind of goads the Latin dancer into competing too, because there's a 10 dance where you do all 10 dances across both of the two major kind of categories. And so we're kind of seeing them try to teach each other the ins and outs of these dances. So I'm enjoying it. It's not my favorite manga I've read. There are times when I struggle to follow along with it, but we'll see how it turns out and if I end up enjoying it. And I'm sorry that the camera keeps moving. She keeps touching it. She's losing her mind over Sally, come here, goof. And then the other book I started is Room to Dream. I'm on page 122, so progress in this. This series follows a young girl named Mia, who in the first book is working at a hotel with her parents, and they're immigrants, and we see kind of the journey that they're going through and how hard it is for them to make it here in America. And in this one, this being the third in the series, they're actually going back to China to visit some family, and we're getting to see some of what life is like in China for Mia's family and how she has changed and they have changed since she left for America. At the same time this is going on, she's also got some tricky things going on with a couple of her friends and is having to navigate that as well. So I'm enjoying this. I don't think as much as the first two, but I am enjoying it, and hopefully I will be able to finish it soon. So that was my week, my weekend. It feels like a week given all of the books I've read. I'm pretty happy with the progress I've made, and hopefully I will continue to make progress on my TBR in the coming week. I did have fun during Face Off weekend. Even if I didn't submit books for the Face Off, it was fun watching my team go all gung-ho, and it definitely helped me get through some books. And like I said, I got some sightseeing points for a lot of these. I do have some that I still need to submit. I have a handful from yesterday. Like I have The Legend of Auntie Poe, I think I have to submit, and Knife of Dreams, maybe. And then of course, these two, definitely. I don't think I've submitted any of them. I have to check my spreadsheet, but I don't think so. So that will probably be on the agenda for later today at some point. So anywho, that was my weekend. Hopefully this next week goes well, and we'll see what I can get up to. But that's going to be all for this vlog. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me grape emojis. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!